Hi everyone, my name is Yvonne, and welcome to the first episode of Pulse Check, the DCM Diaries. Uh, with me today are Maddie and Renee, and we're just here to introduce the US FDA report in 2018. So, they released a report stating that there may be a potential link between certain diets and canine dilated cardiomyopathy. And in these diets that may have a problem, they were always rich in pulse ingredients. And they found that a lot of breeds that are not genetically predisposed to DCM have recently had an uptick in cases. So, I guess to start us off, can you explain what pulse grains are, Renee?
Sure, I could do that. So, pulse grains are the edible seeds of legumes. Pulse ingredients, they do have some benefits. So first, they travel through the gut slower than cereal grains. So they can keep pets feeling fuller for a longer period of time. And this is a good thing for pets who are on a weight loss program, since they'll require less food at each meal. Second, pulses also have a low glycemic index, and that means that after a meal, their blood sugar levels won't spike as much. And this is important for dogs with diabetes who don't produce enough insulin to control these blood sugar spikes after every meal. While they do have benefits, they also have drawbacks. So pulse ingredients are limited in methionine and other sulfur-containing amino acids like cysteine. And these two amino acids are used to synthesize taurine. And with a taurine deficiency, these dogs can be put at a higher risk of obtaining DCM. So with that, I'll let Maddie explain what DCM is.
Thank you, Renee. I will be discussing the clinical signs of DCM. So some of the clinical signs that DCM includes increased respiration while at rest or while sleeping, coughing, restlessness, decreased motivation to exercise, breathing difficulties, relative weakness, collapsing and or fainting, swollen or enlarged abdomen, lethargy, decreased appetite, and weight loss. If your dog presents with any of these symptoms, it is highly recommended to seek veterinary consultation. I will now give it back to Yvonne, who will then discuss what breeds are usually affected by DCM.
So, a lot of large breeds are genetically predisposed to it. This includes golden retrievers, Irish wolfhounds, and boxers. But like I said in the beginning, some of these breeds, like mixed breed dogs or small breeds that don't usually get DCM, have had more cases recently. So a study looked into DCM in huskies instead. They're also a large breed, but they're not predisposed to DCM. And in this study, they fed them way more amino acids than is recommended, to prove that nothing in pulses other than the amino acids are causing DCM. And in these huskies, they didn't develop any signs of it. So this means that the pulses are fine as long as the diet overall meets nutritional requirements. This also means that it's the nutritional deficiencies that lead to DCM in breeds that aren't genetically predisposed to it. It's also important to note that different breeds have different rates of biosynthesis for taurine, and this means that providing excess sulfur amino acids may also prevent these nutritional deficiencies and make it less likely for these dogs to exhibit any signs. But why do people purchase grain-free diets anyway?
So that's a very good question, Yvonne, and good thing that I know the answer to this. So grain-free, organic, or natural terms or labels that are on pet foods are generally terms and labels that consumers prefer. These are from people that anthropomorphize their pets and follow trends in human foods as well. So we do see that in human foods. We can also see how how social media has a huge impact on consumer education and how consumers are interested in high protein diets, such as pulses, which are high in protein. Essentially, the marketing that is on the dog food brand plays a crucial role in how consumers perceive their dog's diet, so they don't understand what grains are generally for. Grain-free diet means high in pulse, but consumers also show concern about the FDA report, yet still continue to buy grain-free because it sounds like a good thing due to marketing and or don't know about the FDA report itself. So I will now give this back, ask Renee, where does current research stand on this? And
Thanks, Maddie. So with research, we would want to focus on minimizing amino acid losses, specifically with the sulfur amino acids like methionine and cysteine. So one of the ways that amino acid levels are affected is through processing. So for example, extrusion techniques, which are used to process pet foods, they tend to contain high levels of heat. So it's important to ensure that heat processing is not affecting the bioavailability of these nutrients. So this is definitely a topic that future research should address. So moving on, how can we decrease incidences of DCM?
that's a really good question. So studies have shown that dogs fed grain-free diets may have different clinical outcomes compared to those on a grain-inclusive diet. Research found that while the median survival difference wasn't statistically significant, dogs that survived the first critical week on a grain-free diet showed improved clinical outcomes. Studies indicate that switching to nutritionally balanced grain-inclusive diets and supplementing with taurine has significantly improved heart function. In one study, 23 out of 24 dogs with taurine deficiency and DCM showed improved cardiac health after dietary adjustments. Research also shows that dogs previously fed grain-free diets demonstrated better echocardiographic measurements after switching to traditional diets. These findings highlight the importance of proper nutrition in preventing and managing DCM. While early intervention is crucial during the first week of life, long-term dietary changes can play a significant role in improving heart function. Dog owners should prioritize AAFCO-approved diets with adequate taurine levels to support heart health. With the right diet and supplementation, DCM progression can be slowed or even reversed, improving dogs' quality of life. So should owners do anything? Should they be worried, Yvonne, about this?
Overall, there's no real need to worry about it. People are not always aware about what's in their dog's diets, which is a cause of concern for many, but that's all right, because pulses have been in the industry for decades, and a lot of these dogs have been fine and didn't develop any signs of it. So it's mostly about the formulation of the feed, like I said before, and not specifically the pulses, so there's no real need to antagonize the ingredients. It also depends on the history of the animal, and it has been found that of all animals eating grain-free diets, less than 1% of these animals exhibit DCM. And long-term studies with grain-free diets that are properly formulated see no negative impact on the cardiac health of the animal. It's also important to note that in many of these diets, taurine is supplemented anyway, and a lot of Canadian pet food companies overformulate to account for the differences in biosynthesis for taurine between breeds. And this taurine is just going to be excreted, so it is not a health concern at all if they're consuming more taurine than is recommended. Generally, it's safe to buy foods from these large companies since they themselves have a lot of research done and follow AAFCO standards, like you mentioned. A lot of people who are not involved with these companies have also come to similar conclusions with their studies. But as always, it's best to consult a vet to determine the best course of action for your pet. And if they feel the need to contact someone else, like a nutritionist, then they will just let their clients know that as well. If people want any more information about that, they can also call pet food companies on their customer service line, and they would have more information readily available. Generally, what we recommend is to rotate between multiple brands and types of food just in case. And this is to get dogs used to a variety of different foods and get their bodies used to learning how to digest different kinds of foods. But yeah, that concludes our first and final episode of our podcast. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great day.